Yeah. Good afternoon. Hey, good morning. Sorry. Good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
Okay, so we want to continue our discussion. But before we start, let me find out from you if you have any question. Dennis, what do you want to say? Your hand is up.
Yes, Prof. Prof, can you kindly check your microphone for us? It seems your voice is far away.
Um, can you hear me now?
Sir, we can hear you.
Okay. So if you have any question on what we discussed yesterday, you can ask. Dennis, your hand is still up. Okay. If you have any question on what we discussed yesterday, you can ask. If you have any question on what we discussed yesterday, okay. So should I take it that you're okay? Please, do you already have all the files? So far, we have discussed 3 files. Introduction to the finance function, investment appraiser, and the measuring corporate financial performance. Do you have all the files, please?
No, sir.
So you have none or you have some? Do you have some or you don't have any?
Sir, I think we only have the audios from. Sir, we have some of the slides. We don't. So please share with us.
Those with issues, are you in Accra or Kumasi?
Accra, sir.
Okay, so Bismarck, just link up after the class so that I share.
I think Accra also has some.
Okay, so let me. Class reps, please let me know after the class what you have and what you don't have, so that I can make them available. I can make what you don't have available to you. Okay. So today we want to discuss some few things. We have a lot to discuss, so but maybe the time will not permit us to cover all. The rest, I will make them available to you, and then later, if there's a need for us to have another class online, maybe in the evening, we can do it. We can have it so that we can discuss what we will not be able to discuss today. All right.
So, Prof.
Yes.
Respectfully, so when is today's lessons ending?
It's supposed to be a 3-hour lecture. Okay. So it's supposed to end at 2.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Who is that? Is that
Prof, this is John Mark.
Okay.
Sir, it's counsel. You were asking of him yesterday.
Counsel John Mark, okay.
Yes, I had an agent assignment from work, so I couldn't join yesterday.
Okay. Then I think that you have to find a way of you need to get someone to take you to what we discussed yesterday. It's very important.
Very well, sir.
Yes, maybe Hannah will volunteer to assist you.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so we want to, at least I've shared my screen. Do you see it? I've shared my screen. Do you see?
Yes, sir.
We can see.
We can see. Right, so we want to look at short-term finance and working capital management. So in fact, we are discussing sources of business and finance. Now, there are two main sources of business finance. Of course, in some circles, you may have three sources. We have short-term and long-term, but in other sources, you may have three. That is short-term, medium-term, and then long-term sources of finance. But in this class, we are just categorizing the sources into two, short and long-term sources. But in case in your private reading or your research you come across any text that says we have three sources, yes, that is also acceptable. The additional one, which is the medium term, is acceptable. Okay. Now, when you talk about short-term finance, what really comes to mind is working capital. Working capital. So we are going to, or we are discussing working capital management, right? Working capital management. And that is short-term finance has to do with working capital. So in effect, what our discussion is on working capital management. And you know, I must say that it is at the center of corporate finance. Working capital management is very important because a firm with an improper working capital management is, or ineffective working capital management is likely to have issues with its survival or sustainability because working capital management is supposed to be the engine of a firm. So if it is weak, then it's just like a car, if the engine is weak, it cannot function as it's supposed to, right? So if your working capital management is bad, then it means that you are likely to have issues with your sustainability. Now, the question is, what is working capital? Philomena upon Quashie.
Yes, sir.
Have you been with us since we started this class?
Yes, sir. I am Mrs. Quashie, Kumasi.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It seems you are far away.
Okay, Mrs. Opon. Okay, all right. Okay. Mrs.
Yes. It seems you are far away from your mic. I can't hear you properly.
My mic is almost entering my mouth. I'm sitting very close to it. It's almost entering my mouth. So if you can look at your gadget, check your gadget. It's possible that your gadget is causing that poor feed. All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Well,
no, you are still very far away.
Yes.
My gadget is full. My volumes are all up to high.
My mic is very close to my mouth.
But I can hear, so I don't know. I can hear.
Yeah, so please.
No, it's not that we can't hear. We hear, but the voice is very far. You sometimes have to strain your ears before you get what he's saying.
Yes.
But I don't know what is going on. But I'm not far from my mic at all. It's very close to my mouth.
Or can the IT team check from their end for us?
I think there's someone assigned. There's a schedule officer, and please, the one monitoring, kindly check if there's anything wrong with the system for them. Now, the difference between current assets and current liabilities is working capital. So if you want to mathematically determine the working capital of a firm is just you take the total current assets, then you subtract the total current liabilities from it. The difference is the working capital of the firm. So working capital items, when we talk about working capital items, we are referring to current assets and current liabilities. Now, the current assets examples are stock of raw materials, work in progress, finished goods, debtors, short-term investments, and cash. As you can see, they are all current assets. Examples of current liability are trade creditors, short-term loans, overdrafts. Right? These are current liabilities. In fact, taxation can also be part. Tax that is yet to be paid, so all part of the current liabilities. Now, there are two main objectives for managing your working capital. In other words, the items that you have just listed or mentioned, current assets and current liabilities. If you are managing them, there are two main objectives that drive this management. One, to increase profitability, and two, to ensure the liquidity of the firm. So if a firm manages its working capital, these are the two objectives that it seeks to accomplish: to increase profitability and also to ensure liquidity. But yesterday I mentioned it, I'm repeating it, that it is very difficult in practice. In practice, it's very difficult to reconcile these two objectives. Right? It's very difficult to achieve them together. That is profitability, to be profitable and at the same time liquid. It's difficult. But these are the objectives of working capital management. Now, when you are managing your working capital, usually you develop or you formulate policies, and so the working capital items, when you are managing them, you formulate policies to cover to drive their management. So you may have policies covering stock. You have stock management policy. You may have data or credit management policy, cash management policy, investment management policy. Right? And those of you who are employees, you know that firms have policies. For example, Fidelity Bank has policies. There's his own credit policy, which will spell out the modalities for advancing credit to a customer. It may have its employment policy, that's HR, that's human resource policy. May have a lot of policies, right? A lot of policies, that will guide the behavior or the conduct of employees of the bank, right? Yes. Now let's look at when you are formulating. Let's look at factors that you have to consider when formulating your working capital policies. One, the nature of your business, right? The nature of your business will determine, your working capital requirements, which will inform your working capital policies. And for example, I think a restaurant operator may have good inventory management plan. Because if you're a restaurant operator, at any particular point in time, you need raw materials to serve your clients, to prepare the food to serve your clients. So you may have, or you must have a good inventory management plan so that you don't run out of stock. You don't run out of stock, because if you run out of stock and your customers come and you're unable to serve them, you are likely to lose them, especially if where your restaurant is, you have competitors. They will, if your customers come and you're unable to meet their demands, they may switch camp, right? They may just go to your competitors, and that will be costly to you as a business man or woman. Then you also must look at the policies of your competitors, especially if you are, let's say you are into merchandising. If you are into merchandising, not in the merchandising, but if you produce something, you are into production, and your competitors are offering credit, but you are not offering credit, you may lose your customers unless what you are offering is unique. If what you are offering is unique, then if you are not, for example, granting credit, but your competitors are granting credit, you may still keep your customer because what you are selling or what you are offering to the market is unique. Your competitors cannot match, and therefore you can decide to be unique in terms of your policies. Otherwise, in formulating your policies, you must be interested in what your competitors are. That is, in formulating your working capital policies, you must be interested in what your competitors are doing. I've indicated, that when it comes to personal issues, at the personal level, you must not compare yourself to anybody because you are unique. But when it comes to business, you must be interested in, that comparison. You must compare your business to what that of your competitors. In fact, at the personal level, you must not be interested in what somebody is doing. Otherwise, you may put yourself in trouble because somebody will always be better than you at the personal level. And so it is always important that you mind your business. You should not be interested in what somebody is doing. Otherwise, always you'll be troubled in your heart. Right? But when it comes to business, please, you must be interested in what your competitors or what other businesses in the same industry are doing, because you are in competition. And in competition, you must be interested in what others are doing so that you can compete favorably. Okay. Now, there are three working capital policies that the literature identifies. Please, as I move along, if I mention something that is not clear to you, feel free to seek clarification. Right? If there's something I mentioned a concept that is not clear, please, you are at liberty to ask, right, for clarification. Okay. Now, so the three working capital policies, we have aggressive policy. Now, aggressive policy is characterized by lower levels of stock, debtors, and cash. So a firm, if you are comparing two firms, you see that one has kept lower levels of stock, debtors, and cash for a given level of sales or activity, then that particular firm has an aggressive working capital policy, right? And the one with the higher levels of stock, debtors, and cash has a different policy. That is, in that case, that one is having a flexible working capital policy. Okay, so the opposite of conservative or flexible working capital policy is aggressive policy, and that one, it is situation dependent. That is, when you do a comparative study or you compare two firms, then you can tell. The firms, maybe the firms in the same industry, you can tell the one that has an aggressive policy and the one that has a conservative or flexible working capital policy. Then the moderate is the middle path in between. That's between the conservative and the aggressive policy. Now, as indicated, whether a firm has an aggressive policy, conservative or moderate working capital policy, is situation dependent. That is, you do so by comparing. All right, making a comparison, then you can tell what the one that has a aggressive, the one that has a conservative, and the one that has a moderate working capital policy. Now, in discussing working capital management, one point or one concept that comes up, right, is overtrading, also called undercapitalization. Now, a firm is said to be overtrading if it increases its sales at a very fast rate without sufficient cash resources. So you are overtrading when you are selling, but you don't have cash resources to support your operations. Then you are overtrading. And there are indicators or signs of overtrading or undercapitalization. I've told you that overtrading is also called undercapitalization. So what are the signs that you are overtrading as a firm? One, increasing stock, increasing debtors, longer creditor days, abnormally increasing sales, and declining liquidity. So these are indicators or signs that you are overtrading. And I mean, what will occasion overtrading? It could be that you have embarked on the successful marketing campaign, right, without sufficient investment or provision for investment in fixed and current assets. Or maybe you started a business with an insufficient startup capital. I mean, you just put a little in the business, and or it could be that at some point you borrowed, and you borrowed and you repaid the loan, but maybe the repayment was not done properly. You did not plan well, so it has created a hole, that created a gap in your working capital. So now we turn our attention to specifics. How do we manage the various items that we listed initially? How do we manage them? So begin with cash, because cash is one of the current assets that must be managed. So how do we manage cash? So cash management is all about what application of tools and just to make sure that the firm has some cash that it wants to, it must have to support its operations. So cash management involves finding solutions to the questions of where to get money from, when to get the money, and how much to get request, and how to use the money. Now, firms keep cash. And there are three reasons or three motives for keeping cash. Right? Three motives why firms keep cash. For transactions, cash is kept for transactions. For example, you need cash to meet expenses like the purchase of raw materials, wages, transportation, etc. Then cash can also be kept for precautionary motive or for precautionary reason. That is unforeseen yet possible business expenses. You may have to keep cash to take care of them. Then for speculative purpose, yes, an opportunity may offer itself at some point that you need cash to take advantage of, right? So you may keep cash for that. So three reasons for keeping cash: transactions, motive, precautionary motive, and then what? Speculative motive. Please, if I am rushing, please, you just let me know. I will slow down. If you're not getting what I'm saying, just let me know, and I'll be glad to know. Now, there are causes of cash flow problems, right? The cause of cash flow problems. Yes, it could be that you have some issues with cash. What are the causes of cash flow problems? High level of finished goods and raw materials may be the case. Maybe you have bought a lot of finished goods and raw materials. You are here to sell them, or you are here to use them, right? It can tie up your cash. Unplanned purchase of fixed assets. Usually, this problem this occurs in small businesses that or even in big businesses. If you have to use money, you have to use cash to buy a fixed asset, an unplanned one, then you are going to have a problem with cash flow problem. Continuous losses can also be, if a firm is consistently recording losses, it can have some cash issues. Loan repayment, yes, you are borrowed, if you repay, if the repayment is not done properly, it may create a cash flow problems. Then overdrawing, yes, the owner withdrawing money from so some of the capital from the business can also be a source of cash flow problem for the firm. Payment of tax can also be, overtrading can also be the reason. And also the seasonality of your business, right? Seasonality of your business. If your business is seasonal, during off seasons, you are likely to have cash issues, cash flow problems, right? When, there's, the season for what you are selling or what you are doing is off, then you should expect that you will get some issues with cash. Inflation can also be a source of cash flow problem. All right, inflation, yes, the prices are going up, so you see that you deplete your cash, resources. Now, what are some of the possible solutions if, as a business, you are encountering or you are facing cash flow problems? You can decide to sell on cash basis or 50% cash deposit. If it is not possible for you to do away with credit in your credit sales in your business because of the nature of your business, you may decide that, well, if you sell, you demand 50% of the value, and the 50% can be in debt. You can also negotiate for more creditor days. Yes, you can just appeal to your suppliers that they should give you more time to pay, especially when the cash flow problem is severe. To the extent that you cannot pay salaries of your workers and all that, you can negotiate for more creditor days. Then, if possible, if you have to buy a fixed asset, you may decide to postpone. You may decide to postpone that if it is not that urgent, you may decide to defer the purchase of that fixed asset to a later date, so that at least you can have some respite in your finances. Then you can also reduce dividend payment, because especially cash dividend can drain the profits of the firm. So you may decide that, well, if you are having some challenges with cash, you may decide to reduce the payment or even avoid it completely if it is in the best interest of the firm. You can also encourage your debtors to pay up more quickly by offering discounts for early payment of debt. When you sell on credit, you may decide to do that. You can also negotiate rescheduled loan repayments just to have some respite. Then managing stock effectively can also help you, right? Because you may have some cash tied up in your stock. So if you manage your stock well, you may avoid cash flow problems. Okay. And then you can have a cash budget, right? You can have a cash budget. As part of your cash management, you can have a cash budget. In fact, having a cash budget is key in business, and I believe almost every formal business has a cash budget, right, which will track the inflow and outflow of cash over a period. So in the cash budget, typical cash budget, you are likely to you have two major sections. You have receipts or the inflows, and then cash payment, that's the outflows. Now, there are advantages of having a cash budget as a business. And even at the personal level, you may have your budget, but usually it is difficult to stick to your budget. I mean, to implement it, religiously, as a personal, budget, right? Because you may, especially in our part of the world, where the dependency syndrome or dependency ratio is high, you would expect that you have your budget, you have your personal budget, then from nowhere you receive a call from a family member, a extended family member. I need money, help me. If you don't help the person, you are a wicked man or a wicked woman, right? So usually it's difficult to have to go strictly by your personal budget, but as an educated person, you're supposed to have a personal budget which should guide your your spending behavior. Because if you have a budget, for example, if every day your budget indicates that you have to spend, let's say, 200 Ghana cedis, then you are guided by it. And when you are, reaching that, threshold or reaching that, limit, you know that you have to pull down the brakes and make sure that you work within that time. So it helps you manage your cash resources because resources are limited. And so businesses have their cash budgets, and the advantages one of the advantages of having a cash budget is that it will indicate when it is necessary to borrow. When it's necessary to borrow. If you have a cash budget, it can help you do that. And then the cash budget, if you have it as a business, it can also indicate, and even at the personal level, if you have a cash budget, it will indicate when you have surplus funds so that you can take steps to invest the funds. It also helps you to make sure that you utilize your financial resources in an effective and efficient manner. But there are advantages associated with having a cash budget as a business. It may promote rigidity in behavior, especially if you have an accountant who is a rigid man or woman. Anytime that an expenditure comes up that you want to make, the first thing that the accountant will ask, is there a budget line for it? If there's no budget line for it, it means that expenditure cannot be made. But it may be something that will drive the growth of the business. But because it is not in the budget, the accountant is likely to resist, and that may create a problem. Then we can also talk about the preparation of the cash budget. It may be time consuming, and also it can stifle initiative, as I've already indicated. That yes, if there's something that needs to be done which has not been budgeted for, because there's no budget line for it, it may not be pursued, but it may hold the key to the future of the firm. So let's assume that in your cash budget you have identified a surplus, right? That you are going to have a surplus. How do you invest the surplus? The investment options term or include term deposits. You can put the money in the bank, the surplus in the bank to attract some interest. You can go for negotiable certificate of deposit, which is a bearer security. You can also invest it in T-bills. But in making a choice as to which of the options that you have just enumerated is the best, you need to consider some factors. One, the size of the surplus will be very important. The second point is, or the second factor is the ease with which you can have your money back if you need it. Mind you that the surplus, it is not for long, it's not for a long time. It is maybe some 2 months or 3 months. So you need to look at it. How is it? Because maybe 2 or 3 months time you need the money, you need the cash. So if you are investing in a particular security, you have to check whether you can easily have the money back, when you need it. Then the maturity of the investment option, the risk and the return that the investment option is promising, and also the liquidity, the ease with which you can convert, their security back into cash. So, for example, if you are investing in T-bills, yes, T-bills are liquid security or liquid asset because you can easily convert them into cash. Then you may also have to consider the penalties for early liquidation. So what if it happens that at some point maybe you invest and maybe with a month's time, contrary to what you have expected, in the month's time becomes necessary for you to have your money back, are you going to suffer any penalty? Yes, you need to look at that this security, if I have to liquidate it before it matures, am I going to suffer some penalty? You have to take that into account in making a choice as to which investment option or investment destination you want to select or choose. Please, are you following the discussion?
Yes, sir. Yes,
We are listening carefully, sir.
Okay. This, if I say something that is not clear, just let me know. I'll be glad to. Then we can also talk about management of stock. So that is about cash. What we have just discussed is about cash management of stock. Somebody said, why should we manage? So yeah, we need to manage so because there are costs associated with understocking and overstocking. So let's discuss. If you are a restaurant, sorry, not a restaurant, but if you're a supermarket operator, what do you think are some of the costs associated with understocking? That is, if you have less stock in your supermarket, what are some of the possible costs that you incur? The floor is open. You can share your thoughts.
Sir, please, the question again.
That if you're a supermarket operator, you run a supermarket, if you understock, that is, you have less stock in your supermarket, what are the costs that you incur? Or some of the costs that you incur, let me put it that way. Yes, the two hands up are gifting.
Yes, Prof. Good morning. I think you would lose customers because if they come to ask for a particular product and then you don't have it, they would they'll stop coming.
Very good. Very good. Beatrice?
Prof, please, Beatrice, I just spoke.
Okay. And Gifty, your hand was up for you.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing, sir, that you lose customers.
Yeah, Maria?
Sir, please, I was going to say the same thing. You lose customers.
You lose
to
customers.
your competitors.
Okay. And if you are not selling as a business, Margaret.
Yes. As you lose customers, your finances will be going down too.
Yeah, and then you there are some fixed costs that you incur, right? There are some fixed costs that you incur. For example, you have your shop attendants, or what do you call them? Attendants. You have some cashiers and all that you have to pay them. You don't have stock. You are not selling, right? You will still be paying them because what you pay them is fixed. Electricity, right, water, and that even the rent. That if the building is not for you, the structure is not for you, you'll be paying rent. So if you are not selling, you have to pay. Margaret, your hand is still up. Do you want to say something?
Yes, sir. So, for example, when you don't have the stock and you go back to the market to purchase more, the prices will go.
Yes.
Meaning that you have to add more money to the listing before you can purchase new stock.
Okay. Now let's look at the. Hannah, do you want to say something?
I wanted to add that in the case where the goods are perishable goods, it will also go with which will make in terms of cost.
Hello? Hannah, I did not hear you.
I was saying that in the case where the goods are perishable,
no, you are talking about overstocking. We are not coming to overstocking, the cost of overstocking. What we are discussing now is the cost of understocking, having less stock or insufficient stock. Okay, so now let's look at the cost of overstocking. That is, as a supermarket operator, you have more goods than you need. What are the costs associated with overstocking?
The tendency of the people you work with stealing some of the goods is high when you overstock.
Very good. You may not know when they steal. You may not. That's different. When they pay for you, you will not know, right? Because you have a lot of the goods there. Beatrice, your hand is up.
Yes, Prof. Some of the goods may expire.
May expire, exactly. Thank you. Divine.
Yes, Prof. So you might need additional space or storage due to the large quantity you have.
That's good. Mr. Yao Nyakun.
You have liquidity challenges.
Very good. Your capital will be tied up. You tie that capital. Your capital will be in the boost, and you are likely to have liquidity challenges. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Divine, you want to say something again? Your hand is still up. Beatrice? Oh, Barbara. Sorry, Barbara, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. You have to reduce your price, and you have to discount them as well.
Yeah, especially when the goods are about expiring, and you may have to dispose of them. I mean, at below the economic values, just to avoid losing everything, right? So, and Barbara, your hand is still up. Do you want to add?
No, sir. Let me put it off.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when a firm manages its stock, right, it wants to avoid the cost of understocking and overstocking. So the firm wants to keep at any particular point in time what is needed, the stock, the value of the stock that is needed to avoid understocking, the cost of understocking and overstocking. Now, debtors. As far as working capital management, you need to manage your debtors. And I believe that debtors here, those who are bankers, they should be able to help us, to discuss this, right? In managing your debtors, there are some factors that you have to consider. That is the administrative cost of debt collection, and then also the cost of additional finance, because you are selling on credit or you are giving money to someone, it will take some time for the person to pay back. So the waiting time or the waiting period doesn't mean that you fold up as a business. You must still run. So how the cost of raising additional finance, you have to take that into consideration, right? Now, let's look at ingredients of effective debt management. You need to assess the creditworthiness of your customers. Effective control of credit granted, efficient collection of your money, insurance against bad debts, factoring, and invoice discounting. So these are ingredients that you need for effective data management. Factoring, somebody will ask, what is factoring? That is, the factoring is it's a debt management, tool. It's a debt management tool that businesses can deploy. That is, they can access that service from a factoring company. There's companies that are specialized in debt management or debt collection. You see them, and then they can help you collect your debt. Invoice discounting, yes. When you sell on credit, you raise invoices. You can go to a discount house and they'll say, okay, the value will be discounted, so you will not get the face value. You get something lower or something less than what is stated there, just to have access to some liquidity. Now, in assessing the creditworthiness of a customer, there's also Nana. Nana, your hand is up. Do you have?
Yeah, sir. I wanted to ask: is age not a factor? Age of the debtor is that a factor?
The age.
Yes, please.
But if it is lending, maybe there's a bank and it's lending, there the age of the customer counts, right?
Okay.
Yes, but I mean, it is believed that I mean, especially when it comes to credit scoring, it's believed that the older people are more credit worthy than younger people or younger clients, right? Yeah. So so the age of a customer counts a lot. That is when you are assessing the credit worthiness of the customer. The age of the customer is key. It's an important factor. Now, I mean, where do you get information to assess the credit worthiness of a customer? Bank reference, trade reference, credit reference bureau, published information. For example, the audited annual reports of the customer. If it's a business customer, you have to access such information to assess. Right? But if it is a bank and the bank wants to lend to one of its clients, it may not be advisable for the bank to ask the client to seek a reference from the previous bank of the customer. I mean, the bankers here, you can Maria? Is it advisable to ask your current customer to get a letter from their previous bank as part of your assessment of the customer's creditworthiness?
Okay, so sir, what is done is that when the customer is taking a facility from us, we don't ask if already the customer is a customer with us. We don't ask. We just do it. We have a platform, DMB. We will have a search and see if the customer has any.
That's the credit reference bureau.
Yes, please.
Okay. But asking the customer to go for a letter is not advisable because then it may be that the customer is nicodemously switching over, right, from the previous bank to you. So if the previous bank gets to know that this is what the customer is doing, that it can easily convince the customer to change their mind. Right. Dennis, your hand is up. What do you want to say?
So in addition to that, if the customer is not your customer, you take the bank statement from the previous bank to assess the customer's.
But is it advisable?
It's advisable in the case where the customer is new to you. It's now coming to take funds from you. You don't request for a letter, but you take the bank statement so that it helps you in your analysis, whether the business is in good standing and is competent to pay.
Okay, Emmanuel, your hand is up.
Sir, please, there are times that you require the customer to bring a confirmation in instances where credit bureau shows adverse findings, but the customer is disputing the fact that he has any record of such. Then it's advisable that the customer goes to his or her bankers to get confirmation that indeed he's not indebted to them. That one will require the customer to get those documents.
Okay. Emmanuel, your hand is up. Okay. So, functions of factoring companies. Factoring companies can help you as a business if you sell on credit. The factoring companies can help you manage your debtors, right? So the functions of factoring companies are: 1, administration of sales invoicing and accounting for a client company, collection of amount due from debtors, chasing up slow payers, and a factoring company can advance up to 80% of the face value of the debt that as a company you create. So if you have sold a lot on credit and you are unable to collect the debt, and at the moment you are having some liquidity challenges, you can walk up to a factoring company with the invoices, and then you may go back with about 80% of the face value of the invoices, right? And then the factoring company will now chase the debtors for payment. We have, I think 2 types of such arrangements or such agreements. We have the one with recourse and the one without recourse. The one with recourse means that if the factoring company is unsuccessful in retrieving the debt from the debtors, the debt will bounce back to you, the firm that created them, right? But if it's without recourse, then what it means is that if the factoring company fails in collecting the debt, the debt will be the debt of the factoring company. So with recourse and without what recourse, right? So let's look at the merits of engaging the services of a factoring company. Prompt payment of suppliers, yes, because you may be able to retrieve your debt and to be able to pay your suppliers. And then you may even take advantage of early payment discounts because you are liquid as a firm, because the factoring company has helped you to collect your debt, and so you can pay your suppliers early to take advantage of early payment discounts. There will be a reduction in the amount of working capital tied up in in debtors if you engage the services of a factoring company. You are likely to have less capital tied up in debt. If you are financing growth through sales, yes, you can just sell more, because especially you can sell on credit if you have a very effective factoring company by you. Savings on sales administration costs, and also possibility of tapping from the factor's experience in credit analysis and control. So there are merits involved in firms using the services of factoring companies in their debt management. Now you want to look at terms of trade. Sometimes when you sell, especially those into merchandising business, when you sell, you may want to use some tools to encourage your debt, especially when you sell on credit, to use your debtors to pay up quickly. And so we have terms of trade, and the firm may require payment within 30 days, but to offer a discount of 2% to the customers for early payment. So if you look at a term like look at the Cgsl, 2/10, right? 2/10 net 30. What it means is that yes, the invoice that the merchandising company has issued or merchandising firm has issued, the invoice, the face value is due for payment in 30 days. However, if the client, upon receipt of the invoice, settles it within 10 days, there will be 2% discount on the face value of the invoice. So that is what. So if you take an invoice of a firm and you have this written on it, that's what it means. It means that yes, the face value of the invoice is due in 30 days time. However, if you're able to settle it within 10 days upon receipt of the invoice, you'll be entitled to the 2% discount on the face value. In some cases, firms may sell a lot, during a particular month, and they want to issue one invoice to cover the sales that have been made over, that's over the month. And so they will wait, they will sell, but there will not be invoice. Be an invoice. One invoice will be issued to cover all the sales the credit sales that have been made. And so you may have something like this. Goods may be sold on terms of, for example, 8/10 EOM. That's end of month. So at the end of the month, one invoice will be issued to cover all the sales, the credit sales that have been made to a particular client. And this invoice will have something like this: 8/10 EOM net 60. What it means is that yes, the invoice is due, the face value of the invoice is due in 60 days time. But if the client is able to settle the face value in 10 days, at the end of that's when the month ends, end of month, 10 days upon receipt of that, then the client will be entitled to 8% discount. Right? Yes. So you can check next time when you take the invoice of a merchandising firm you may see something like that written on it, indicating the discount that is offered for early payment of the face value of the invoice. Now let's look at financing working capital. Please, I'm just repeating. If you have any question, please, you raise your hand. I will give you the opportunity to ask it. All right. So financing your working capital as a firm, how do you finance your working capital? There are sources. We have bank sources, and the bank sources include cash credit, overdraft, export credit, buyer's credit, non-fund based sources, a letter of credit, and in fact, a letter of credit and bank guarantees. The bank will not part with money, but the bank will offer some assurance or some guarantees, so to speak, to the clients to support the client's work. And then you have commercial paper, you have factoring, you have bills discounting, you have trade credit. So if you look at the bank sources, you have cash credit, that one just for. But please remember that working capital, the sources, their maturities are usually up to 1 year or less, right? They're 1 year or less, right? So you have to take note of that. So the cash credit, yeah, a bank may offer 12 months, loan, a 12-month loan against the collateral. Sometimes the collateral can be in the form of inventory or accounts receivable. That's accounts receivable. Another name for it is what? What's another name for accounts receivable? Hello? Another name for accounts receivable
is debtors.
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 Yes, we are debtors, please. Another name for trade creditors. Another name for trade creditors.
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable. That's good. In fact, these are things that you must know. Having gone through.
Payable.
Yeah, that's good. Having gone through corporate finance, in fact, at least these things, these concepts should not baffle you anymore, right? In your work. And I've told you that those of you who are interested after this program, you may want to enroll in the finance program and to deepen your understanding of finance. Well, in this world, whatever we do, in fact, this program that you have even enrolled on, at the end of the day, when you get a certificate, you are seeking promotion in your organization. Then promotion comes with what? An adjustment in salary, all right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry, can hear.
Yeah, Fidelia wants to have a promotion so that you have some adjustment in her income. Maria too.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Dennis doesn't like promotion.
Promotion. As for you want women, spoke
Yeah, he's interested in additional wife, so he wants to have an additional wife. So the women who are available, please draw his attention.
We are fulfilling scriptures.
All right. Then, you have overdrafts. The bankers. What is the difference between an overdraft and a loan? Maria.
So,
okay, Dennis, you want to try, okay? So go ahead.
Okay, Dennis can try.
So with the overdraft, you have access to the funds by overdrawing on your account. But with the loan, the funds is credited to you. Basically, that's the difference between the overdraft and the loan.
Come again.
And then with the overdraft, you have access to the funds, but it's not given to you in a form of physical cash or credited to the account. It's just that you can overdraw on your account, which means that your account can go into negative. But with the loan, the funds is credited to your account for you to work with.
And the requirements are different. Okay, so you have to add. The requirements for an overdraft are not the same as a requirement for a loan. Yeah, Mr. Nyako, you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to add that with overdrafts, you don't have a scheduled repayment in regards maybe monthly or quarterly.
Okay.
But with loans, you have a scheduled repayment date. And the interest rate with overdraft is not equal in months as compared to loans.
Okay. Are you a banker yourself?
Yes, sir.
Where do you work? Hello? Mr. Nyako? Hello? Or his Mr. Nyako? Okay. So please take note of that, the difference between an overdraft and a loan, right? Thank you very much, the contributors. Thank you. Now, export credit. It is for exports. That is a facility that a bank offers for exports. That is those who are into exports. The bank can also advance this facility for you to export your goods, right? And the credit may recover both pre-shipment and post-shipment, activities. Then you have the buyer's credit. This is for importers, right? Importers, what you would use it to pay for imports in various currencies. Now we have the non-fund based financing, right? Non-fund based financing, that's documentary credit. The bank will not advance. It's not the bank advancing money, but it involves a commitment to pay. And two types of non-fund based financing. You have a letter of credit and a bank guarantee. Now the bankers, Dennis, are you familiar? Are you familiar with the letter of credit?
I'm a little bit familiar with it, but at my level, I don't work much with it. So.
Okay. What about Maria? I understand that Maria is higher than you, right?
Oh, same as me.
Same. Oh.
We are in the same room. Just that she said she has it higher in road than me.
We are in the same. We are in
the same room. Just that she's senior. She's senior to me. So.
Is Maria not part of management?
No, I'm with him on the same level.
She's now crawling.
Okay, it's a
now
great.
crawling together.
Huge.
That is why we are doing this course, so Prof. That's how we are, so that we'll upgrade and then we'll get to management level.
Okay, Mr. Agbeku, your hand is up.
Yes, sir. I just want to try and then give little clarity on this.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to share my little understanding on letters of credit.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I understand about the letters of credit is that it is issued to a supplier, not to the customer. For instance, if a customer wants to buy an item, and then because he is unable to pay upfront the amount involved, he can fall onto the bank to issue a letter of credit. So what the bank does is that it issues a letter of credit on behalf of the customer to the supplier. So in effect, we are issuing a letters to the supplier, telling the supplier that this customer is covered by the bank. Though we are not giving physical cash, the instrument is showing that this customer will be able to pay for the goods.
So that is why we call it non-fund based, funding, right? It is not that the bank is advancing, and usually you as a customer, you have to deposit the money, right? You have to deposit the money in your account, and the bank will issue it, indicating or telling the customer outside. It's used in international trade, telling the customer, that is in that case the exporter, the one exporting the goods to you, that hey, if you export the goods, we are ready to pay for them, because the customer has money with us, right, that we are supposed to pay. If the customer doesn't have the money, or the customer can arrange with the bank for a loan, so to speak, and then the bank will issue, that the commitment, that guarantee that hey, you the exporter, if you export the goods to this customer of ours, we are ready to pay for them, right, Mr.
Yeah. So just to add to that,
okay,
the customer is supposed to write an undertaking that upon receipt of the goods, he's supposed to provide the invoices certifying that he has actually received the goods.
Yeah.
Because without the undertaking, the letters of credit will not be issued.
Okay. Now, a letter of credit may be revocable or irrevocable, confirmed or unconfirmed. And please, when you are studying, take note of these concepts. A revocable letter of credit, irrevocable letter of credit, confirmed letter of credit, unconfirmed letter of credit. Revocable letter of credit is one that the customer can cancel at any time. The customer can issue a countermand that will order the bank that will cancel it. Right, that is revocable. Irrevocable means that you cannot countermand it. The customer cannot countermand. They cannot cancel or revoke the. Then you have confirmed. That is supposed to be the best arrangement for the seller. In this case, the exporter, the exporter outside the country. That because it involves the undertaking of the seller's bank, right? That is the advising bank, in addition to that of the buyer's bank, that it will pay under the terms of the credit. And in that sense, the seller's bank becomes the confirming bank. And the seller's bank here, we are talking about the exporter's bank. So let's say that you have Dennis has a company. Dennis is importing something from the US, right? Yes. So the company in the US, right? Yes. That company, that's the exporting or the exporter in the US will have a bank, right? The whole transaction will involve what? The bank of the exporter and the bank of what? The importer, in this case, Dennis Bank, and the company in the US is bank. So if it is confirmed letter of credit, apart from everything, the exporter's bank in the US will give an undertaking to the exporter that the goods, when exported, will be paid for. Then the importer's bank will also give another undertaking. So you have two types of undertaking here. We have the one from the exporter's bank and the one from the importer's bank, right? And then they see that in that case, the exporter's bank becomes what? The confirming bank, right? Yes. Then we can also talk about a bank guarantee. Please, have you understood it? Have you understood it, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Well, for this one, because it doesn't involve any figures, people have no issues at all. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, please, can you on the confirming the other one you talked about?
What?
So the three types, the confirm, the last one, if you can.
The confirm.
Yeah, I just wanted to get explanation again, sir, please.
No, so the confirmed letter of credit, apart from the it's not being revocable, you have two types of undertaking. The exporter's bank will give an undertaking to the exporter that if it exports the goods to the importer, the goods will be paid for. Then the importer's bank will also give an undertaking that if the goods are exported to the importer, they will be paid for. So you have two types of undertaking involved. And then we are saying that in that case, the exporter's bank becomes what? The confirming bank. See, the seller there is the exporter, right? And the buyer in this particular context is the importer. Yeah, Cosmos, could you dance? So your hand is up.
I have a question with regards to the irrevocable letter of credit.
Hello?
Prof. Under what circumstance would the letter of credit want to be revoked? Per what you are saying, the confirming bank and the buyer and the seller, both banks signing the undertaking to make a deal. You being the buyer, maybe sitting at somewhere, you may have a challenge. Why can't you revoke or advise for them to revoke the letter?
Hey, you see, in international trade or international business, let's say a company in the US, right, and a company in Ghana, they are transacting. The company in the US, the managers there may not know the companies in Ghana. The managers of the companies in Ghana, they may not even know the location of the company. So on what basis should they export goods? That is, on what basis should the company in the US export goods to the company in Ghana?
So, right? Prof, in this case, can't you advise your bank to revoke the letter?
No. So if you advise your bank to revoke, the bank has given an undertaking and it to create a serious issue.
Okay.
Right. So once this irrevocable and even confirmed, you cannot cancel it. Right? Let's say the goods are on the high seas coming and they say, oh, I have revoked. No, the bank will not do that because the bank will have an issue with the regulator. In this case, the bank in Ghana, Bank of Ghana will have a serious issue. The bank will have a serious issue with the Bank of Ghana for doing that because it means that then you are destroying the banking system, and the Bank of Ghana will not sit down for something like that to happen.
So then, in this context, when you are advising the bank to issue letter of credit on your behalf, then it has to require legalities match into it before you do.
Definitely, you might, because once that is done, once it is irrevocable, you cannot revoke it. But if it's an irrevocable, if it's a revocable credit, letter of credit, then at any time you can revoke it. But the question is, who an exporter with the right compos mentis, right? The right compos mentis, that is mentally composed, will send goods or will ship goods from, let's say, the US or UK or any other parts of the world to Ghana. on the basis of irrevocable letter of credit. Would you do that as a rational human being? Would you do that?
No.
Yeah.
Well noted.
So you want assurance. So that's why we have the confirmed, the irrevocable and confirmed. So that you can be sure, you can be 100% sure that once you ship the goods, you are going to be paid for them. Right?
Okay, thank you.
A bank guarantee, it is similar to a letter of credit, but it is just a performance, just like a guarantee of performance. And normally it is used when bidding for a contract, where the bank will guarantee that you would deliver, right? That you will deliver, and that you adhere to the terms of the contract, right? And then you have bank loans, you have inventory financing. These are all others. So inventory financing simply means that you borrow on the basis of your inventory. So you pledge your inventory as collateral, right? So you borrow, and then your collateral will be your inventory as a firm. But so that the bank will give the loan to you with the understanding that you will sell the inventory and pay back or repay the loan. But what is the guarantee that if you sell the inventory, that you sell the goods, you would repay the loan? So the bank will want to have some control over the goods you have pledged as collateral, right? So usually the bank will demand what we call field warehousing. And field warehousing simply means that the bank will appoint an independent warehouse company to supervise the inventory pledged as collateral for the loan. Okay, the bankers here, do you do it? Maria and Go.
This one is not at my level.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that Maria?
Yes, sir.
This is at the corporate level.
Okay. Anybody willing to credit? Any credit officer in this class? All right. So commercial paper, yes, is also an instrument for raising funds, and the commercial paper usually is an unsecured instrument, and it is issued by companies. And so patronage is tied to the credibility of the issuing company. Then you have factoring. I've talked about factoring. Bills discounting. I've talked about that. Where an invoice, or you have sold on credit. You have your invoice. You can approach a discount house, usually maybe a bank, to provide finance against the bills, right? But you see, unlike factoring, invoice discounting, it is not the responsibility of the discount house to chase the customers for the payment of the debt. No, it is your responsibility as the one who created the debt to go and chase the debtors for the payment. Okay, then we have trade credit. This is one of the easiest ways of going into business, right? That is trade credit. You buy goods on credit, and then you pay for them later. Right? Those of you in Kumasi, the credit here, that's how some of them, in fact, there are some stores that the owners started using trade credit. They bought the goods on credit, sold them, and then paid back, or paid for them, right? Okay. So trade credit, yes, that's so that ends our discussion on short-term finance and working capital management, right? Any question before we move to the long-term? And the long-term sources, we have two categories. we have equity and debt. So we begin with equity finance. Let me share. Please, as I move along, you can ask questions. If you don't have questions, you keep quiet, then you move on, right? But maybe this one, because it is not quantitative, you don't have issues. You easily understand them. You easily understand the concept because you don't have they are not quantitative. Hey, mercy, Lord. So, yes, the long-term finance equity, that is equity. We talk about ordinary shares and then preference shares, but we begin with ordinary shares. Now, a share is the right of ownership in a company, and as an ordinary shareholder, ordinary shares are shares that entitle their holders to the residual profits of the company in which they are held. Holders of ordinary shares are called ordinary shareholders and or stockholders. Right? In Ghana, we say shares, but I think somewhere in the US, that's what we call it, stock. Legally, the ordinary shareholders of a company are the true owners of the company. Ordinary shareholders are the true owners of the ordinary shareholders of a company are the true owners of the company. Being the true owners, they bear the risk of ownership in the sense that in case the firm is winding up, that is, if the firm is winding up, that is, the firm is ceasing to exist, the ordinary shareholders will be entitled to the residual value of the assets. That is, after all obligations in respect of the assets have been satisfied, whatever is left is what is given to the ordinary shareholders. So they will be the last people to receive their share of the assets of the company during what's winding up. So, and you see, if you buy ordinary shares, the income on them is not guaranteed. Income on ordinary shares is not guaranteed. That is not fixed. You see, there are two possible incomes that you get when you purchase ordinary shares. These are dividend and capital gain. And these incomes are not guaranteed. The capital gain occurs when the purchase price of the share is different or is less than the market price of the share. So let's say that you buy a share for 5 Gs. Now the share, the market price of the share is 10 Gs. If you decide to sell, you make what? A gain of 5 Gs. So that is your capital gain. Now dividend is that share of the profit that is declared by board of directors of the company. So these are two possible returns or two possible incomes that you get as an ordinary shareholder, but they are all not guaranteed. Now, because of that, ordinary shares are sometimes described as what? Variable income securities. Right? Variable income securities. So if I ask you, why are ordinary shares described as variable income securities? Who can summarize it for us? Maria. why are ordinary shares described as variable income securities?
Okay, sir, because they attract dividends. Dennis, please bail me out.
Oh, but you are saying it. Prof, I think Bless will bail us. Prof, Bless.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, so, sir,
Hello? Ajay,
or
Mr.
stockholders
Ajay
are
Bless.
part owners of the meeting. Yes, sir.
Why are ordinary shares described as variable income securities?
So they are described as variable income securities because of the business or shareholders of the business. So if there is any form of collapse or if the company is winding up, as you said, they stand to lose everything that they have. So for instance, if the board of directors annual general meeting, they decide to inform the members that, or the shareholders that at the end of this financial year, we did not make much surplus or profit, and so we are not declaring any dividend. The shareholders stand to lose any profit or dividend on their share capital. So that's my observation.
Okay, so the point is that income on ordinary shares is not guaranteed, right? And then you can just explain that, well, in case of winding up, yes, ordinary shareholders are entitled to the residual value of the assets. Then dividend payment on ordinary shares is discretionary. It is at the discretion of the board. No ordinary shareholder can force his company to pay dividend. No, it's at the discretion of the board. So if the board in its wisdom decides that in a particular year or for some number of years, no dividend will be paid, that is it. So if you are an ordinary shareholder of a company, you don't have any guaranteed income. That is why they are described as variable income securities. You may earn income, you may not earn income, and even the income that you earn, it may not be fixed, it may change. Right? Yeah. So they are described as variable income securities. All right. Advantages of equity finance. If a firm finances its operations with equity, what advantages will they get? Miss Margaret,
Yes,
your
sir.
hand is up.
Yes, sir. Please,
Yes.
so I don't understand why I will invest into a company or my money will be to establish a company, and other people will decide whether they will pay me or not, or I'll receive how do you call it, salary or not, and then the dividends too will be decided by them. Why is it so?
That's a good question. It's a good observation. But the point is, you are the owners. So you as the ordinary shareholder, you are the owners. So if more profit is generated, right, it is to your advantage, right? And so why do you want to have the profit paid to you? So why not just plow it back to create more value, for you? But yes, I understand your concern that if you have a board that is inconsiderate, right, instead of giving you your profit, the earnings that the firm has made, we are plowing back, but they will be enjoying. But you will not have anything apart from the opportunity, the possibility of you getting a capital gain out of whatever they are doing. So yeah, it's not fair. That is why sometimes people who are interested in having reliable income income from their investment, they may opt for alternatives instead of ordinary shares. They may, for example, purchase bonds, purchase preference shares instead of ordinary shares because of the uncertainty surrounding the income on ordinary shares.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I mean, I've been raising that question, I've been raising that concern that why should it be at the discretion of the board to pay dividend, to pay or to give me my share of profit that has been made. Yeah, but that's the position, that's the law, that's the arrangement. It's discretionary. There's no guarantee of dividend payment. It's discretionary. And that is unfortunate.
Okay, sir.
Right. So, madam,
sir,
yes.
Sometimes they will tell you that, like, you the investor or the ordinary shareholder, that they are plowing back, but managerial remuneration is going high, but dividend payout is low. So in that case, what do you do as an investor?
There's nothing you can do because you don't have any right there to exercise that you take the company to court or the board of directors to court for refusing to pay dividend. No. Unless you have some basis to argue that they are using the funds, or maybe they are misappropriating the funds, or they are doing something that is uncalled for, which will be in breach of the company's act. That as directors, as fiduciaries, they are acting in contravention of their fiduciary duties, and therefore you want the court to intervene to stop them. Fine, then that's it. But if just a mere point that they are increasing salaries or they are that one, you are not likely to succeed in your action. So again, the option is yours. If you have some money to invest, you check where you put your money in, where you put your money, whether you put your money, what you put your money in, where you put it in ordinary share, preference shares, bonds. The choice is yours. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So advantages: if a firm finances its operations or its activities with equity, what are the yes, equity is permanent capital. Once you buy shares, you have given the money to the firm permanently. Unless the firm at some point decides that it wants to buy back its shares, then that's when you can have back your money. If you need your money back, you have to look for someone who is prepared to assume ownership of the shares from you. You can't go back to the company to demand refund of your money. So it's permanent capital. If the firm has more equity in the future, if it wants to top it up with borrowing, it will not be difficult, because it will have the lender, the prospective lender will look at okay, it means that the owners of this firm have confidence in it. That is why they have invested a lot in it. So the lender will not have difficulty coming in, right, with some assistance. And then if a firm uses equity, unlike debt, that the payment of interest on it is mandatory. Payment of dividend on ordinary shares is discretionary. So there's no compulsion, it's not mandatory for the firm to pay dividend, and therefore it serves as an advantage, right? When a firm uses equity to finance. Then the disadvantages include cost and then the risk. Right. Yes. The risk here is from the perspective of the shareholder. Right. The cost has to do with the expenses that will be incurred in raising funds for the public, especially if it's a public company. Mr. J. Bless.
Yes, sir. So,
Yes.
sir, I was saying that instead of saying that the board has a discretional power to declare dividend or not, can't we say, because I'm a member of one credit union, every
Hello?
year dividends are shared to us. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm not. Can you come again?
So, yes, sir. So I'm saying that instead of we saying the board has a discretional power to declare dividend or not, can't we say the percentage of dividend that they will declare at the end of the financial year can be reduced? Because at all times, I'm a member of one credit union, and at all times, at the end of the financial year, dividends are declared to us. So it's either the percentage that they declare for the previous years will reduce. Let's say last year they declared 20% dividend on our shares. So this year, because they could not make a lot of surplus, they are reducing it to 10% because they are shareholders. Can't this be done that way instead of we saying that it is discretionary?
No, but the point is that your firm, the fact that your firm maybe pays dividend every year doesn't mean that it is under any obligation to pay dividend. And that's why it is not mandatory, right? That a firm must pay dividend at all times to its ordinary shareholders, right? But I mean, a particular firm may decide that because the dividend payment or dividend has a signaling effect. If a firm is paying dividend, it sends a signal to the outside world that it is doing well and will attract more investors. Yeah, I mean, yes, but the point is that the firm is not under any obligation to pay dividend to its ordinary shareholders. That's why we say the board has what discretionary power to decide whether to pay dividend or not pay dividend. In fact, a firm can decide to declare zero dividend policy or to adopt a zero dividend policy, meaning that they will not pay dividend at all. So whatever profit that is made is plowed back, and then as a shareholder, it means that you now have only one source of income, and that is the capital gain. So if you think that the heat is too much for you, you dispose of your shares and leave. That's all. All right. So the disadvantages. Please, Mr. J, are you done? Are you okay?
Yes, sir. Please, I'm okay.
Okay. Disadvantages: dilution of control, dilution of control, and also earnings dilution. Because if a firm continues to finance with equity, any project, any new project that comes up, yes, you want to finance with equity, then unless the existing shareholders are prepared to always give, they are prepared to add to their capital. If at some point you want to raise funds or you want to raise funds through issue of shares, and the ordinary shareholder decide that it will mean that the existing shareholding structure is going to change. Right? Yeah, it's going to change. Right. And that may not augur well for the existing shareholders. Right. So that's a disadvantage. And then also the earnings dilution, because if you increase the number of shares, then the earnings per share is likely to go down. Right? Because yesterday we talked about earnings per share. That is the profit attributable to ordinary shareholder divided by the number of shares the firm has issued. So if the number of shares go up, right? If the number of shares goes up and there is no corresponding increase in earnings, you see that the earnings per share will fall, and that may even translate into the market price of the firm going down, because earnings per share will serve as a signal, or serves as a signal to outside world that the firm is doing well. So if it goes down, it may send a bad indication to existing and potential investors that the firm may be having some challenges, right? And that may not augur well for the market value or the market price of the firm. So earnings dilution and ownership dilution, yes. Now, to cure this, if a firm wants to cure this or these disadvantages, then when it's offering new shares or raising new capital through issuance of or issue of new shares, the firm will do it under what you call rights issue. That is RIGHTS, rights issue. That is, it will offer the additional shares to the existing shareholders on pro rata basis. That is according to the existing shareholding structure. So that after the process, the existing shareholding structure remains intact. So let's look at methods of issuing ordinary shares. Placing, here, shares offered at a fixed price to a number of institutional investors who are approached by the broker. So placing, you identify potential investors and you approach them. Right? So that the shares are not open, just open to everyone. Some potential investors are approached by the firm. Then the public offer, that the shares are made available to everyone. So once you are interested and you have the means or you have the economic power, you can. Then introduction, this is where existing shares are loaded onto an existing or a stock exchange, right? So this one, there is no sale of new shares under introduction. There is no sale of new shares. The shares are already there, but now we are migrating them from private, to public space. That means that they are now going onto an exchange, an organized exchange. Then we have scrip issue or scrip or bonus issue. Here, the number of shares in issues. What you do is that you are increasing the number of shares, without any additional finance. That is, you convert the existing reserves in the balance sheet, the retained earnings in the balance sheet. You are turning them into shares. So instead of giving cash dividend to the existing to the shareholders, what you do is that you now want to turn them into additional shares. So if you are entitled to the profit that has been kept in the business, if you are entitled to 1 cedi, you'll be given 1 cedi equivalent of shares. So you add to your existing number of shares as a shareholder. So it's a balance sheet transfer. You transfer the reserves from the balance sheet to the ordinary share account. That's all. That is what we call bonus or scrip issue. Then you have share split. This is where the existing shares, you break each into two, right? And then you also break the price of each into two. So if one share is now, if the market price is 1 cedi, right? If you engage in share split or stock split, you have 2 shares, but the price will be 50 pesos per share. Okay. Then we can also talk about scrip dividend. Scrip dividend, that's more ordinary shares are offered in lieu of cash dividend. Right. So let's say that the firm wants to pay dividend instead of cash dividend. And I think if you get the opportunity to discuss dividend policy, instead of giving the shareholders cash, it's okay. If you are entitled to the maybe 20 Ghana cedis as your dividend for this year, we will give you ordinary shares of 20 Ghana cedis. So instead of keep paying cash, we will give you what? Shares. Right? Please take note of this one. The difference between scrip dividend and what? And this one was bonus issue or scrip what issue, right? So take note of the, let me see, let me see, where is it? Oh, scrip dividend, okay. So take note of that. I thought it was, take note of the scrip dividend and this, where is it? No, innovations, no. Yeah. Right. Okay. So take note of the scrip dividend and then the share repurchase. Yeah, I did that. The share repurchase. I thought it was part of the issue. The share repurchase. The share repurchase simply means our share buyback. That is where the firm decides to buy back its shares. So let's say Dennis has 100 CD shares, Maria has 200 CD shares. Okay, we want to buy back. So bring the shares and take back your money. Share repurchase, but it is highly regulated. It is not something that you can easily get up to. Now, when a firm is able to buy back some of these shares, it can increase its earnings per share, which will inure to its benefit in terms of the market price of the share. Because it will reduce the number of shares. So when it calculates its earnings per share, because the base, that the denominator will go down. If the current earnings remain the same, earnings per share will go up, and that may inure to the benefit to have a signaling effect on the market. So the market price of the firm is likely to go up. Now, preference shares. I want to start by saying that preference shares are sometimes described as what? Hybrid securities. Hybrid securities. Now, hybrid securities have features of debt and equity, or a hybrid security has features of debt and equity, right? A hybrid security has features of debt and equity. So, yes, on one breath you can say that it's debt. On another, you can say that it is what? Equity. So it is between debt. It has features of debt and equity. Hybrid securities. Hybrid security or hybrid security. Now, these are the main features of ordinary shares. We are private. I mean, in terms of when the firm is winding up and assets, are being distributed, they will get their share of the assets before the ordinary shareholders. Right? They will get their share of the assets of so they have priority over ordinary shareholders. Then preference shares may have cumulative feature. Cumulative feature in the sense that if in a particular year the profits made by the issuing firm is not enough to pay, the balance will be carried forward to the following financial year. That's cumulative. Then the non-cumulative preference shares mean that, well, if in a particular year the profit is not enough to pay the dividend payable on them, nothing is carried forward. It dies naturally. And then, so you may have other versions of preference shares. You have participating preference shares, yes. So it will have, such shares will have fixed preference dividend plus additional profit if the profit of the issuing company goes beyond or travels beyond a certain limit or exceeds an agreed amount in a physical year. So you have your fixed dividend, which is not so with ordinary shares. Ordinary shares, there's no fixed dividend on them, but preference shares, there's a fixed dividend on them. But if it is participating, then apart from the fixed dividend that is promised on them, the holders can enjoy additional portion of the profit if the profits of the issuing company exceeds a certain amount. That's the participating preference shares, and you have non-participating preference shares. Then you can also have what we call variable rate preference shares. Yes, the dividend payable on such preference shares is not fixed. It varies, right? You may have the fixed component of it, and then you also have additional, which is maybe indexed to a certain interest rate, like the interbank lending interbank, rate, the labor rate, right? So these are all variations. You have convertible preference shares that those preference shares can be converted into ordinary shares. So the holders can at some point become ordinary shareholders, right? Yeah, based on some terms and conditions. You can convert, you can become an ordinary shareholder. John Mark, your hand is up. What do you want to say?
Yeah, Prof, I want you to respectfully throw light on the participating preference shareholders or non-participating. My area of non-understanding is it a case that after that particular shareholder has been paid his preference shareholding status, does it imply that if he's a participating preference shareholder, then he gets the dividend that will be paid as in to ordinary shareholders in that category, or he then earns another in that preference category before the ordinary shareholder may be considered?
Okay, so thank you very much for your question. The point is that ordinary shareholders and preference shareholders, they belong to different groups. They are different groups. So the dividend payable on preference shares, it is not at the discretion of the board. You have to understand that. It's not discretionary. Dividend payable on preference shares is not discretionary. It's contractual. You have agreed with the person that this is how much you are going to be paid at the end of every financial year. So it's not discretionary. But that of the ordinary shares is discretionary. And I think I've indicated that. Now, the participating type of preference shares, what it means that there is that fixed dividend which is promised, but the agreement stipulates that if the profit of the company in a fiscal year exceeds a certain limit, then they will have additional share of the profits that the firm has made. Right? Do you understand me?
Yes, I do. I mean, but from the point where there's that distinction between preference and ordinary shares being a separate and distinct category, I think that explains the point. Yeah. So my further question is, assuming the general rule that says that dividend is paid upon declaration, does it mean that it does not affect preference shareholders? It's not applied to them?
No, the point is what you are saying, what the general rule that dividend that is applicable to ordinary shares.
Ordinary, okay.
Because you cannot say that remember that preference, look at the name, preference shares. You have preferential treat.
Yes.
Right? It's a special, preference shares are special shares that have been created just to make them appeal, right? Or just to make them, attractive to, a certain category of investors who may not be interested in holding shares that the income on them is not guaranteed, right? Because from the discussion I could even use that even Auntie Maggie, she has made up her mind that she will never invest in ordinary shares, because if what I am going to invest in, the income on it is not guaranteed, why should I worry myself in investing in ordinary shares? Yeah. So these preference shares, they are special shares that the income on them is guaranteed. But we are looking at variations, right? One variation is the word participating. I mean, these are all things that have been created just to make them appealing. So, I mean, it's not only about the fixed profit the fixed dividend that you get. You may also get additional a dividend if the performance of the firm, right, exceeds a certain limit. That's all.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Hannah, your hand is up. What do you want to say?
Yes, bro. So, please, I want to find out if these shares are those that are open to the public, like some firms selling, those firms who usually sell, I mean, some of their shares.
Hello, come again. I did not.
I want to find out if these shares, the preferred shares, are they those shares that firms usually make it open to the public? Like the way NCA sold some of their shares.
The point is that legally, you can make your shares available to the public if you are permitted to do so. All right. If you are for example, if your shares are listed on an organized exchange, if you're in Ghana and your shares are listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, then you can make them available to. The shares are available to everyone. So whoever is interested can buy them. But if you are not listed, you have to do your own. You have to use your endeavors as a firm to contact or approach potential investors privately. You cannot just go out there and make noise that people should come and invest in you because you are not listed. Right? Yes. So it depends on what you are asking. It depends on your status. If you are a listed firm or you are a public company, listed company, yes, you can make your shares available to the public. If not, then you have to do your own. You have to use your own good endeavors to get your shares invested in. So if you have some company, you can approach me, right, privately for me to invest in you. But you can't go public. You can't make noise that people should come and invest in you if you are not listed. And in that case, that if your shares are not registered by the Securities and Exchange Commission, you cannot do that.
All right, sir.
Yeah, 2 hands are raised. Beatrice.
Yes, Prof. These share prices for both, the preference share, does it normally come with a higher share price, looking at the nature of it?
You said the preference shares, are they more...
Are they more expensive to buy?
You see, the point is, whether something will be high or low depends on whether the value of a share will be high or low will depend on the issuing company and also the circumstances of the day. Right? Yeah, so that one I cannot tell whether the price will be high or low. So because the point is that you see you are creating shares that will be attractive. Because the ordinary ones, as the name called ordinary ones may not be attractive. So whatever you want to do to make what you want to offer attractive, that's why we firms will have these preference shares and ordinary shares. But the ordinary shares, they may not be attractive, right? Because of what you have just talked about, you have variable income securities. But if you have preference shares, then it means that you are entitled to a fixed dividend, and if it's participating, apart from the fixed dividend, you may enjoy a portion of the profit of the firm if the profits exceed a certain limit and all that. So that just depends on the circumstances of a particular company, right? So I cannot say that this it will be high or this will be low. No, no. Because if you are, it is something that you are creating to make them, attractive to a particular section of the investor community. If you raise the price and nobody's coming for them, what are you going to do? Right. Divine, your hand is up.
Yeah, Prof. So I want to find out, is it possible that maybe an ordinary shareholder wants to move from ordinary to preference or preference to ordinary? Does the law, the regulations allow one to change the status of his position as either
that you want to change? Well, it depends on the law. But I'm yet to know, and also maybe the constitution of the company involved. But I'm yet to come across someone who wants to, transition from ordinary shareholder status to preference shareholder, right? Yeah. Status. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Please, I want to ask question on what Divine just asked.
Who is speaking?
Please, this is Firdaus.
Firdaus, okay.
Yes, please. I wanted to find out the share, preference share, ordinary share, and the cumulative is the type of share you hold, right? So
yes.
I think I'm just thinking, is it once it's a type of share you hold, and probably sometimes companies or wherever institution you belong, sometimes if they advertise a share that is in line with preference share or maybe additional shares to what you already have as a cumulative person, maybe if you have, let's say, this number of shares will make you a preference share. So if you are able to add additional shares to what you have as a cumulative preference shareholder, can that make you automatically a preference shareholder?
Your question again is that you have, so maybe you can cite some figures to make your point clearer.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that let's assume that a preference shareholder have 1,000 share, 1,000 share, and a cumulative, an ordinary shareholder have, let's say, 500. And probably when a company, to qualify you as a preference shareholder, you have to have 1,000 shares. So when a company open a sharehold and maybe you are able to buy additional share of 500 to your share, whilst at the moment you are ordinary shareholder, the additional share you are able to add to your own makes 1,000. Can that automatically make you a preference shareholder once you are able to get up to the 1,000 share?
So you are you suggesting that whether you are a preference shareholder or is contingent on the number of shares you hold?
Yes. Or that is not possible?
Well, okay. I haven't come across anything like that anyway. But I think I gave bless, your hand is up. You see, the classes of shares are created. They are legal creations. So it's not that you just will go, once you have a number and then becomes, no. You have classes. So preference shares, ordinary shares, blah, blah, blah. So I don't think that it's the number of shares you hold that will make you, but it may be some threshold. They may set some ceiling. For example, normally when firms offer their shares, they will say, okay, you can buy this. So this is the floor. You can buy 100 shares. So it means that you cannot buy shares below 50 or below 100, right? Yeah. So they may set some ceiling. They may set the floor, right? And then maybe in some case they may set the ceiling. But as whether once you cross a particular threshold, that makes you automatically a different shareholder. I'm here to come across something like that. Yeah, Mr. J. Bless, your hand is up.
Yes, Prof.
Hello.
We are told, Prof.
Yes.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, I'm here.
So we've learned that shareholders are part owners of the institution. So my question is, now every institution or every company would have a minimum shares that they are selling or that they will issue to the public. Once you secure that minimum shares paid, it is assumed that at the end of every financial year, they will declare dividend, whether preference shares or ordinary shares. So my question is, can one withdraw in excess of the minimum shares that the person has with the company when dividend are declared?
Your
Prof.
hello, hello.
Yes, sir. Please, was it clear? Was my question clear? Please.
Hello.
Hello, Prof.
Yes,
Oh.
I'm listening. Oh.
Yeah, Prof, I was asking if my question was clear.
No, I did not get this because your voice was so now. If you can amplify your voice a bit, I think it will help the discussion.
Okay. I was saying that we've learned that shareholders are part owners of the company, and every company will definitely have a minimum shares that they will issue to the public. So once you secure or once you buy that minimum shares and dividends have been declared, can you make a withdrawal in excess of the minimum shares that you purchased?
So you see, you have let's say that you have acquired 100 CD shares, right? And you want to make a withdrawal from where? I mean, that is, you want to reduce the 100 CDs. If you want to reduce the 100 CD share that you have, you are selling. You have to look for someone who wants to buy from you.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, we have discussed that share is permanent capital. Ordinary share is permanent capital. Meaning that once you acquire, if you acquire the shares of, let's say, MTN, you can't go back to MTN and say that, well, you are demanding payment, you are demanding refund of your money. You no longer want to hold the shares, right? You can offload your shares to someone who wants to hold them, right? Well, and I've indicated unless MTN wants to engage in what you call share buyback, that it will just come to you and say, okay, bring your shares and we will pay back your money. Otherwise, you have to look for someone who wants to assume ownership of the shares you have. Because the money you have given to the firm or the company is permanent.
Okay.
Right. John Mark, your hand is up. What do you want to say?
So it's just in regard to Fidel's question on the class variation. I mean, like you mentioned, the law is expressly clear. If you look at Section 50 of the Companies Act, it talks about variation of class rights. So these variations or these categorizations as to types of shares are created at the beginning of the creation of the company in their company's constitution. So at that level or at the time when they are doing the IPO, that's when those things are specified. So when you subscribe to a particular class of shares and you remain there. Now, it is only when you desire that you want to change your class, then we'll have to go back to the constitution of the company and see whether there is the constitution allows for class variation or does not allow for class variation. Now, if the constitution forbids a class variation, then you cannot. But if it allows, then there will therefore be a process by which that class variation can take place. So, like you mentioned, it's a matter of law. It's not necessarily because you have acquired up to a certain limit, so you automatically become the other. Like we say, no matter how long, whatever, lizard stays in the water.
A log spends in a river, it doesn't become a crocodile.
A crocodile, certainly. So no matter how much of ordinary shares you hold, you still remain an ordinary shareholder until your class is changed based on the constitution of the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. Georgina, your hand is up.
Prof, good afternoon. Please, Prof, I want to know, why would somebody buy ordinary shares when there is preference shares? Because from what you just explained, preference shareholders are guaranteed a dividend at the end of the financial year. So
Yes.
if, for example, the preference shares and the ordinary shares are being sold at the same price and there is no maybe maximum you should buy to be part of this class or that class, then obviously everybody will go for preference shares unless maybe there is something advantage, something that we've not talked about ordinary shares that may make people want to go for ordinary.
Georgina, you see,
Prof.
each shareholder, whether you're a preference shareholder or ordinary share, there are some rights you enjoy. That's why I've indicated that the ordinary shareholders, they are the true owners of the firm. So when it comes to decision making, they make decisions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, you enjoy rights as an ordinary shareholder, and you also enjoy rights as a preference shareholder, right? So, I mean, the true owners of the business or the company are the ordinary shareholders, and they make decisions. They decide the direction of the firm.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
So they are rights. I mean, if you want to go into company law, if you want to study company law, you can. I think that we may have a company law lawyer here. He can teach you about company. So there are rights that both groups enjoy. So their rights are not the same. Daniel Efrifachum.
Yes, Prof. So with regards to yes, Prof. But with regards to the preference shares and then the ordinary shares, I think I want to add something small to what you just said, which means that if you are setting up a company, it's like you are setting up a company and then you are inviting others to come and invest or add their monies to it. Those that you are adding their monies to it can be termed as the preference shareholders. Whereas you, the owner of the company, will be the ordinary shareholder. So at no point do you say you are gaining dividend until such a time where maybe you are liquidating the company completely. Then you might come in to gain whatever you want to get. But you are the owner of the company, even though there might be certain your gains are in your share values. So let's say, for instance, you started with 10,000. You've invited people to join in over the years, but now the company's value is worth about 100,000. So at that point where you want to liquidate the company, that is when you get the bigger size of the meat.
Okay. All right. So, thank you for your opinion. Now, so we have other categories of or other types of preferences. We have redeemable preferences, irredeemable preferences. Redeemable means that at some point the company can buy them back. Irredeemable means that the company cannot buy back such shares. Right. Flexibility. I mean, the advantages of preferences are not significantly different from the advantages of ordinary shares. Mind you that they all belong to the one umbrella. They all fall under one umbrella, that's equity, right? But I've indicated that preference shares, they are sometimes described as hybrid securities because they have features of debt and they have features of equity. And I was thought that somebody was going to ask me what are the features of debt that preference shares bear, what are the features of debt that preference shares bear, and what are the features of equity that preference shares bear. But nobody has asked me, so let me keep my listening to myself and continue. Okay, so what do you think?
So you're asking now, what are the features?
Huh? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't ask, but can you please chip it in for us? The features of the various shareholders.
You see, one feature of preferences that make them be equity is that the dividend paid or payable on preference shares is not tax deductible. Dividend doesn't offer any tax advantage. Dividend paid on ordinary shares and preference shares doesn't offer any tax advantage compared to interest paid on debt. Interest paid on debt offers a tax advantage because it is tax deductible. So if a firm finances its activities with debt, the interest the firm pays on the debt, when it prepares its accounts, it will subtract or deduct the interest that it has paid on its debt from the earnings it has made before it will apply the corporate tax rate. But dividend paid on preference shares and ordinary shares doesn't offer that advantage. In other words, if you put it in a technical language, we say that dividend paid on ordinary shares is not tax deductible, but dividend paid on debt is tax deductible. So in that case, preference shares and ordinary shares, they behave the same way. They belong to one group. They don't offer any tax advantage.
Sir.
Yes.
Is that the reason why in EBIT the interest comes before tax, and then ITDA tax is paid before dividends are declared?
But which one?
In EBIT, earnings before interest and tax.
Yeah. So the interest there is the interest paid on debt.
Yes, before tax is computed.
Yes.
And then in EBITDA, there's the tax is paid before dividends are applied.
Yes. So you see that you apply the corporate tax rate to your earnings before you deal with what your dividend.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So dividend paid. The point is that dividend paid on preference shares and ordinary shares doesn't offer any tax advantage, but dividend paid on debt has a tax advantage.
Okay.
Okay, and so preference shares and ordinary shares, they belong to one family called equity. Right. Now, another a feature of preference shares that make them behave like debt is that like bonds. Bonds are fixed income securities. Interest paid on bond is fixed. And dividend payable or paid on preference shares is also fixed. So in that sense, preference shares behave like what? Like a debt instrument, right? Because dividend payable on them is fixed, just like debt, right? So that is why they are described as what? As variable income as hybrid securities. As hybrid securities. They are features of debt and equity. Right. Are you okay? So the advantages of preferences are not significantly different from the advantages of ordinary shares, ordinary share capital, right? Now let's turn our attention to long-term finance. Long-term finance. See what you have just discussed. Long-term finance. We have the equity. So we turn our attention to long-term finance, debt, right? Debt. And here, categories of debt finance, we have bank loans, bonds, leasing, and then venture capital. Now, but venture capital can also fall under equity, depending on how a venture capitalist has, entered or has gone into a particular contract. It will be based on the kind of contract that the venture capitalist has gone into. A venture capitalist can go into a debt agreement or an equity agreement. All right. So that's why I say it can also fall under under equity. So bank loans, in fact, the bankers will tell us that or agree with me that there are different types of loans, right? But if we want to look at these categories, sport loan. Sport loan. A sport loan can be drawn down immediately it is approved, right? Once it is approved, the customer or the borrower has access to it. That is a sport loan. Then we have a line of credit, and then we have loan, commitment. Yeah, a line of credit, please. It's not the same as a letter of credit, so take note of that, right? In an examination, you can easily be asked to explain the difference between a letter of credit and a line of credit. They are not the same, right? Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Okay. A line of credit and a letter of credit, they are not the same. Okay. Okay. A line of credit is just an arrangement between a bank and a firm for a loan, and the bank will authorize the maximum amount, but not the interest rate. So you agree with the customer will agree with the bank for the maximum amount that the bank will lend to the customer, but the bank will not quote what the interest that the customer will pay. So in effect, the line of credit does not commit the bank to lend it. Right? The bank can, at some point, if the customer wants to access the facility, the bank can quote an interest that will deter or will frustrate the customer, that will drive the customer away from accessing the loan. So please take note. The agreement involves the bank authorizing the maximum credit that it intends to lend to the customer. And then normally that the money is not made accessible to the customer immediately, right? It is as and when the customer needs the money or needs the facility that the customer will access it. So it is only the maximum amount that is determined. The interest on the loan is not determined. That is contrasted with a loan commitment. Here, the bank and the customer will specify the maximum credit that the bank will lend plus what? The interest rate. So take note. The first one, the line of credit, no, it's only the maximum amount of credit that will be agreed upon by the parties. This one, it is both the maximum amount and the interest. Okay, so we have two types of the loan commitment. You have the revolver, where the customer will withdraw the money, will access the fund to and fro, to back and forth until the expiration of the schedule, the predetermined schedule. So you borrow it, right? You borrow the amount, you pay back, you borrow, you pay back, you borrow, you pay. Maybe for the next 2 years or next 3 years or whatever, you have access to the facility. You take it, you pay back, you pay back. Then maybe when the 2 years or 3 years or whatever period expires, that is it. You will not have access to the facility anymore, right? Then you have the non-revolving, that you have it once. You have the facility once. It will not. You cannot have it again, as it is with the revolver. All right. So please take note. Then we can talk about bonds. Please, if as I move along, if I mention something that's not clear to you, please feel free to ask. Okay. Bonds. It's a long-term contract. But the point is that a bond is a fixed income security, right? Long-term obligations where the parties involved will agree. So you have this between the lender, a lender, and a borrower. The lender in this case will be the client who is purchasing the bond, and then the borrower is the one, the company or the government issuing the bond. They will agree, right, that this is the amount and this is what I will pay on the amount. Then when it matures, I will return your money or refund your money, to you. Usually, funds generated from the sale of bonds are used to fund what, or to finance capital expenditure. Now, we want to look at sellers of bonds and buyers of bonds. Individuals don't issue bonds, but individuals buy bonds. Sellers of bonds are government, local government, and corporations. Buyers of bonds are households. When we talk about households, we are referring to individuals, right? Businesses, government units, and foreign investors. Now we want to look at categories of bonds. So we have government bonds, we have corporate bonds, we have municipal bonds, and we have international bonds, and we have green bonds. Government bonds are bonds issued by governments. So in Ghana, government bonds, and normally they come in the form of T-notes and T-bonds. Right? T-notes, the maturities lie between 1 year and 10 years, and then the T-bonds, they have maturities of over 10 years, but they are all backed by the full faith of the government, and they are default risk free, right? T-notes and T-bonds, government bonds are what, default risk free, because it is believed that the government will not default. Right? But last year or so, I don't want to comment. For security reasons, I don't want to comment.
They can shave it. They can't default.
Pardon me?
Yes,
They can shave it, but they can't default.
Sir, please, so does it mean that the main difference between the T-bills, T-notes, and T-bonds are just a matter of the period?
The maturities, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So the T-notes, the maturities lie between 1 and 10 years. The T-bonds, the maturities are over, 10 years. But they're all government securities. And they are default risk free. No haircut. I don't want to comment to.
Not under Oriata.
Yeah, I don't want to comment, please.
They will shave it down, cut.
I don't want to comment to, please.
So can you make?
Don't comment. Don't comment because T-bills, the government can't touch it. It's only the bonds that he can touch, but not bills.
Sir.
Hello.
Prof, for academic purposes, can you make a comment? Covered by the academic clothes.
No. They are default risk free. That's the point I want.
But the specific comments regarding the debt restructuring that was done.
You want to comment?
No, I want you to make comment on it.
For security reasons,
for academic,
I don't want to comment for security reasons.
Okay, I agree.
Prof, please do. There is no security here. Prof, please do. There is no security here.
That is ordered. I beg.
Please spare me my head. Let me be in my corner. All right. So, government bonds, they are default risk free, but it doesn't mean that they are not exposed to other risks, such as inflation risk, reinvestment risk, all those things, but I mean, yeah, I suppose that but when it comes to defaults, they are default risk free, right? They are default risk free. Then we can talk about corporate bonds. Corporate bonds, they are issued by corporate entities. Example is a junk bond, which is normally issued to finance leverage buyout. Leverage buyout simply means that borrowing to finance a purchase of a company. So if you want to, let's say Dennis wants to buy Fidelity, Dennis can borrow to buy Fidelity Bank. Your bank is Fidelity, right?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah. So if Dennis
Yeah,
wants to
the
buy,
best bank in Ghana.
yeah, he can team up with Maria. They can borrow to purchase what Fidelity. That's what a leverage buyout. Then it can also be used to finance a measure, or when a firm is going through some crisis, a junk bond can be issued to to support to bring it back to life, or to take it out of or restructure that company. The corporate bonds can be corporate bonds can be bearer bonds, registered bonds. A bearer bond, what it means is that the bond is not registered in anybody's name. So it's just like a cash check. Well, whoever holds it gets value for it. Then that can be contrasted with a registered bond. A registered bond, it is registered in somebody's name, either an entity or an individual's name. Then term bond, the entire face value, or that is what is written on the face of the bond, matures on a single date, right? A term bond, it matures on a single date. Then that can be contrasted with a serial bond, that where in the life of the or the lifetime of the bond, part of the face value is retired, right, gradually, pending the maturity of the bond. That is serial bond. So the entire face value of a serial bond does not mature on a single day. Then we can talk about a mortgage bond. It is backed by landed property, right? It is for mortgage, right? Yes, the funds raised are for mortgage purpose. So usually the property that is used to finance becomes what? Collateral. Then we can also talk about what? A debenture. A debenture is a bond, right? But it is an unsecured bond, because bonds are supposed to have what? Bonds are supposed to have collateral. Every bond is supposed to be backed by a collateral, right? But this bond, a debenture, doesn't have a specific collateral backing it. So bond holders are described as what? General creditors, because there is no specific, there's no specific asset, or there are no specific assets backing debentures. Then you can have an inferior version, or an inferior version of debenture, also called subordinated debenture. So when the firm is winding up, in terms of priority, the people to be the debenture holders, ordinary debenture holders, are likely to have their share of the assets before, not that they are likely, they will have their share of the assets of the firm before the subordinated debenture holders, because subordinated debenture holders are inferior, or the subordinated debentures are inferior to what debentures, but they are all bonds, but they are all unsecured what bonds. So the explanation is given in there. Now the debentures, they can be convertible debentures and non-convertible debentures. Then in terms of convertibility, that is, if you are dividing or you are categorizing debentures on the basis of convertibility, then we can have three categories of debentures. You have non-convertible. Non-convertible means that you cannot turn them or convert them into ordinary shares. They are strict debentures, right? You cannot turn them into ordinary shares. Then fully convertible means that they can be turned into ordinary shares, right? They can be converted into ordinary shares. Then you have partly convertible debentures, meaning that you can turn or convert part of the debentures into ordinary shares and part retained as what? As debentures. Then the subordinated debentures, I think I've talked about them already. Then we have municipal bonds issued by municipal authorities. There are two types of them. You have general obligation bonds and you have revenue bonds. General obligation bonds have full faith and credit of the issuer. That is, there in here, no specific assets are pledged as collateral to support them. Right, there's general obligation. That is contrasted. The general obligation bond is contrasted with revenue bond, where the funds raised from the sale of revenue bonds are for specific projects, and those projects serve as collateral, right? So maybe you may have the East Municipal Assembly issuing a revenue bond to finance maybe maybe KVIP, right? Or any toilet facility, modern toilet facility. Then the toilet facility becomes the collateral, right? I never knew that toilet facilities were that lucrative, that to the extent that party food soldiers will seize them upon any change of government. I mean, in fact, I was wondering, the toilet is crowded. Why should you go and seize a toilet? And
It's
I said, keep quiet.
Very lucrative.
It's very lucrative. Then the person now educated me say, okay. So if let's say East Municipal Assembly decides to issue a revenue bond, then to finance the construction of a toilet facility, yes, the toilet facility will be the collateral, right? So in case of default, then the bondholders can seize the facility to redeem their money. Then you can also talk about international bonds, and the three main categories of them. We have the Euro bonds, and foreign bonds, and then sovereign bonds. An Euro bond is an international bond, right? An international bond. So normally the difference between an Euro bond and a foreign bond is that for a Euro bond, it is denominated in the currency that is different from the currency of the place where it is issued. So, for example, if a Ghanaian company issues a pound sterling denominated bond in the US, right, that would be an Euro bond. Why? Because the official currency of the US is the dollar. Now, the currency in which this bond has been issued is what? In which this bond has been denominated is the pound sterling, right? So it is an Euro bond. Now, where a Ghanaian company issues or a government issues a bond that is denominated in the dollar, right? It issues it in the US. It becomes a foreign bond. Why? Because the currency in which the bond is denominated is the same currency of the place where the bond has been issued. Is it clear? Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. It is.
Hello, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Pardon me?
No,
I'm
sir,
sorry.
please come again, sir.
So what I'm saying that I've given an example. Now, if a Ghanaian company, in fact, an Euro bond is an international bond, a foreign bond too is an international bond. But this is the difference. An Euro bond, if a Ghanaian company, I'm just using it because we are in Ghana, if a company in Ghana issues a bond in the US, and the bond is denominated in pound sterling, it is an Euro bond. Why? Because the place where the bond has been issued, right, is, the currency of the place is different from the currency in which the bond has been denominated. Is it clear?
Yes.
Hello?
That's clear.
Now, if the same Ghanaian company or the company in Ghana issues a dollar-denominated bond in the U.S., it is a foreign bond. Why? Because the bond is denominated in the currency of the place where it is what? It is issued. Yeah, Fedas, your hand is raised. What do you want to say?
Yes, sir. My question is on letter of credit. You mentioned it earlier. I don't know whether you explained it. My network was kind of messing up then.
A letter of credit?
Yes.
A letter of credit, we discussed it under working capital.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we discussed it's a non-fund-based financing technique where and it is used in international trade where an importer's bank will give some guarantee or some commitment that if the exporter outside, that the foreign exporter exports the goods to the importer, the bank is ready to pay for them. That is a letter of credit, and that is contrasted with a line of credit, where the bank will agree with the client the maximum amount that the bank is prepared to commit to lend to the client. It's only the maximum amount, the maximum loan, but no interest is quoted. The bank will quote the interest when the customer wants to access the credit, the facility. Then at any particular point in time that the customer wants to access the facility, the bank will quote the interest that it is charged for the facility.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, so the difference between the euro bond and the foreign bond, I think it is clear to you now, right? Okay, Tina, your hand is raised. What do you want
Sir, please, can you go distinguish between the euro bond and the foreign bond again?
Okay.
I'm a bit confused.
Okay, so please pay attention here. If somebody has broken your heart, forgive the person so that you can get it. Or if you are thinking about someone, stop thinking about the person now. And then, okay. Now, the euro bond. Now, an euro bond is a bond that is issued is issued in a place, right? Okay, but it is denominated in the currency that is different from the place where it is issued. And so, an example, if a company in Ghana issues a bond that is denominated in pound sterling in the US, right, that is an euro bond. Why? Because the currency of the US is not pound sterling, it's the dollar. But here, the bond is denominated in pound sterling, so it is an euro bond. Now, if the same company issues a bond that is denominated in the dollar in the US, that is a foreign bond. Okay, Sina, is it clear to you now? Okay, Sina.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Is it clear to you now?
Sir, I'm okay. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Then we have the sovereign bond. A sovereign bond is issued by, sovereign entities, that countries, right? Yeah, it is backed by the full faith of the countries. So Ghana issuing a bond, right? The bond can be described, if Ghana issues a bond on the international market, that bond is a sovereign bond, right? It's backed by a sovereign entity. Backed by the country that is sovereign, right? Yes. Ghana is a sovereign country. It's an independent, these phone systems and all that. All right. So when you get when you get those, you should be able to, you can read further. Then let's look at features of bonds. A bond has a par value. There's coupon interest rate. That is what is paid periodically to the bondholder. And some bonds do not pay dividend at all. Do not pay coupons at all. Such bonds are described as what? Zero coupon bonds. A bond has a maturity date. That is the date when the face value of the bond will be paid back to the holder of the bond. A bond may also have a call provision. A call provision simply means that the bond agreement, which is called indenture, the bond indenture or the bond agreement will stipulate that the bond issuer will exercise the right to ask you, the bondholder, to bring the bond and take back your body. That's the call provision. But bond is a fixed income security, so whoever purchases it may be interested in fixed income. So let's assume that I have purchased a bond expecting that every year I'll get about 1,000 Ghana cedis as my coupon payment. And because of that, maybe I have promised Augustina that I will pay for her to go on vacation. Then, if there's a call provision in the bond agreement, before the year ends or before bring back the bond and take back your money, and maybe you work the interest that is due for the number of months that you have held the bond. How am I going to honor my promise to Augustina? So to avoid capricious exercise of the call provision, usually the agreement will stipulate that not until certain time has passed, the bond issuer cannot exercise the right to call the bond. And when that is provided for in the bond agreement, we say that the bond has a deferred call, and then the bond is said to have call protection. Yes, the bondholder can call the bond, but until certain conditions have been met, right? The bond has a deferred call and then what? Call protection. Because people who purchase bonds want to have guaranteed income, right? They want to have a guaranteed income. So if such provisions are not made in the agreement, then they are going to have some difficulties, right, in terms of getting the income that they expect. Then you also have what? A sinking fund. You may also have a sinking fund. A bond agreement may also have a sinking fund. A sinking fund is like Susu, right, where the bond issuer will set aside some funds towards the retirement of the bond when it matures. Because, for example, if a firm has issued about $100 million bond or $100 million bonds, if the firm doesn't make provision for the retirement of the bond the bonds when they mature, then maybe in 5 years' time, if the firm will have to cough 100 million Ghana cedis, right, it may be difficult for the firm. But with a sinking fund agreement, the firm may be setting aside some money, right? So by the time the bonds mature, the 100 million Ghana cedis may be in the account for the redemption or for the payment of the bonds, right? So just look at sinking fund as a kind of a Susu account, into which the issuing the bond issuer will be making some funds, right, or setting aside some funds towards the retirement of the bonds when they fall due. Cosmos, your hand is up. What do you want to say? Or you are no more asking your question?
Sorry, what did you say?
Okay. Then some bonds may have may be convertible. Now that you can convert them into ordinary shares. And such bonds will have a lower coupon rate. Why? Because usually the conversion, the conversion, that is the price for converting the such bonds into ordinary shares may be predetermined. So you may want to exercise that right when you know that the share price of the company is favorable, and so you may earn you may earn something more, right, than you deserve. So bonds that are convertibles, all right, that are convertible, they offer a lower coupon rate. And some bonds are sold with warrants, right, similar to convertibles. The warrant will permit the bondholder to buy the shares of the issuing company at some point in time, subject to the discretion of the bondholder. So warrants are options. They are not what obligations. So you may be given, and these are enhancers, right? They are just attached to the bonds just to make them attractive. So let's assume that you can buy a bond and it's okay. At some point, if you want to buy the shares of this company, you can buy the shares at this price. The price is predetermined. You wait. When the price of the market price of the company rises above the price, the agreed price, then you exercise the warrant. You go and buy. So if the agreed price is 5 cedis, you buy. And if the market price at the time that you want to exercise is 10 cedis, you buy the shares at 5 cedis, right? And then 5 cedis per share. Then you resell at 10 cedis per share. So you make a capital gain. So usually bonds that are sold with warrants carry lower coupon rates than the normal bonds. The bond indenture is the agreement, right? So the agreement between the bond issuer and the bond holder, the bond holder is the bond indenture. And in the indenture, you may have a trustee. A trustee, usually a bank, that is to ensure the enforcement of the terms and conditions of the bond. So in the bond indenture, you may also have the basic terms of the bond, the description of the property that has been used as collateral, the protective covenants, the covenant, the sinking fund, the core provision. All these things you may find them in a typical bond. Then green bonds. In fact, green bonds, if you want to just look at their use, they are bonds, the funds of which are used for green projects. So that is all. A green bond is issued to finance green projects. And green project, you're talking about environment, to deal with environmental issues, right? That's what we call green bonds, right? So you don't need to worry yourself about that. Green bonds, simple for environmental, for climate issues. The funds are used for climate issues. So let's say a mining company that has done some devastation to its environment, they issue green bonds, raise the funds for reclamation, or maybe for something that maybe the houses that they have destroyed and all these are just to make the place better, right? So that's what green bonds are for. They are for green projects, right? Now another debt finance is what we call leasing. Leasing. It is a contractual arrangement between a lessee and a lessor, which establishes that the lessee has a right to use an asset owned by the lessor. And then in return, the lessee will make some payments, right? Maybe royalties to the lessor, right? And the leasing can be operating lease or finance lease. The operating lease, more of you have hired an asset, right? You are using it, and you are making some periodic payments to that is, and the maintenance of the assets, the ownership, the maintenance, all those things, insurance of the assets will all be borne by the lessor. Right? The lessor is the owner of the asset, so all that you, the lessee, you'll be doing, just be using the asset, right? Be paying the royalties or whatever you are supposed to pay. The finance lease, the maintenance, the maintenance and the servicing or whatever of the asset involved will not be borne. The cost of that will not be borne by the lessor. And usually, the lessee has a right to renew the lease on expiration, and it cannot be cancelled. Right? Cannot be cancelled. Finance lease. Now, 2 types of finance lease. We have sale and lease back. And it is told that so let's say if your company is operating in say Latavia Quashie, and maybe in 5 years time it wants to leave the place, but the place is not conducive at all. I'm just using as an example. It may decide to sell its premises, the buildings, may decide to sell the buildings and then lease them back for 5 years. So it will use the 5 years to prepare itself to vacate the place or leave the place permanently, right? Yes, that's what sales leaseback is. You sell the asset and then you lease it back. You hire it. Then you'll be paying royalties to the new owner. Then we have the leverage buyout. This is where an amount, a loan is involved. The lessor will usually buy the asset using a facility, right? So the lessor buy the asset, pays for more than 40%, then the rest is absorbed by by a lending institution. Then the lessee will be using the asset. So you have three parties involved: the lessor, the lender, and the lessee. Now, why would a firm lease an asset instead of buying it? It may protect its liquidity position. So, for example, if you have to buy an asset that costs $1 million, but you have the opportunity of leasing that same asset for a certain amount, maybe an X amount, maybe paying $5,000 or $2,000 a month, it is better for you to lease instead of just dishing out 1 million Ghana cedis just to acquire that particular asset. It will safeguard your liquidity position. It saves you, for example, if it's operating lease, it saves you the uncertainty over the residual value because you are just using it, it's not yours. So you are not worried about the residual value of the asset. Then the negative side of leasing, right? Negative side of leasing an asset instead of buying it, that it can be used for earnings management, leading to unjustified executive pay rise. So instead of the managers of the firm buying an asset, they go, we are going to lease it, right? And then it'll be doing well, but in the future, it may not augur well for the firm. And also, if all your assets as a business are leased assets, in the future, if you want to borrow, you are likely to have a difficulty, right? Because the assets will not be attractive because you have leased them, they are not yours. So how can you place them as collateral, right? So that is the negative side of leasing. Venture capital, please, I know that our time is up is 2, but let me clear up 2, I think about 4 slides to clear, and then we are off, right? Venture capital can be in the form of debt or equity. I've already indicated that. And it's supposed to be a high risk, high return capital provided by a venture capitalist or a venture capital company to support business creation and growth. Right? That's what venture capital is about. And usually some venture capital firms will demand representation on the board of the companies. In Ghana, we passed the Venture Capital Trust Fund in 2004. And that led to the establishment of venture capital company. But venture capital has not been popular in Ghana, right? Despite the passage of the venture capital trust fund and some venture capital companies, emerging. I think it's still not popular in Ghana. But venture capital companies are supposed to support business creation and business development. Apart from that, there are individuals that also provide equity investment, right, to support young companies, and we call such individuals what? Angel investors. Angel investors. They also provide financial support to young companies. But venture capital companies, what they are interested in, innovative products and services. They support products, high tech, industry. They provide financial assistance to high tech industries, right? So if you have a business opportunity that you want to have, you may try any of the venture capital companies in Ghana. You may Google and get the names and approach them. They may be of help to you. So that is for that's what we want to discuss under long-term finance, equity, debt finance. Debt finance. Any question? Our time is up. It's 4 minutes past 2. Right. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer you. Sister Abena.
Yes, hello, sir. So thank you very much for taking us through this course. I have a question, and please pardon my ignorance, because we've been learning about shares, bonds, and all those things. But for example, if you want to buy shares in these global companies like Apple, Netflix, and all that, how do we do that? I know T-bills and co we go to the bank, but
no,
I don't
you
know.
approach a broker. We are stockbrokers.
Please, where are they located? The brokers, where do we find them?
You can just Google stockbrokers in Ghana. You get their names and their addresses. You can approach them. They will assist you to purchase shares.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions or concerns or frustrations and insults? Or somebody may be frustrated and they want to insult the lecturer.
Oh, sir. Again, please. Since this will be our last meeting, I don't know if we will have others, but what should we expect in terms of the exams?
Oh, I'm here to decide. I'm here to be led by the Spirit to decide the format. But normally, that is the usual thing is that you get some essay questions and some, problem questions to solve. Because of your number, you are not too many, and so you can easily mark. I think this year the number has gone up a bit. So maybe we have a mix of maybe MCQs and some essays, some short answers or essays. But I will get, because normally at the end of the examination, before the examination, usually there's a revision period that you want to. And I will add some files, right, to, for example, dividend policy and mergers and takeovers. But if you can read to understand, no problem. But if you want us to have an online, maybe one evening, you want to have just 1 hour for me to explain them to you, I will do that.
Okay.
May the Holy Spirit guide you.
Hello, Mr. Andy Fosu.
Sir, please, are we writing myself?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, hello, sir. I wanted to know the real difference between the venture capital and the angel investors.
You want to know
the real difference? Oh, sorry, it looks like my.
No, you have some echo.
Yes, I wanted to know the real difference between the venture capital or venture capitalists and angel investors. The venture
the angel investors, they are individuals. Venture capital usually, they are entities, they are companies.
Oh, okay.
But they all offer support to entrepreneurs, especially the venture capitalists. They are interested in high-tech entrepreneurs in high-tech industries.
Okay.
Yeah. Sister Maggie.
Yes, sir. So please, let me say, in what form?
I'm saying I haven't set any questions yet. I will let maybe the class reps know what the form that it is. But maybe because of I can just give you some few questions for you to answer, and maybe essay questions. Because I haven't said normally MCQ will take some time, but I will try and see.
Online or in person?
Online or in person? Is it online or in person?
So it's an assignment.
You will decide.
Yeah, Prof. Assignment.
Right, please.
Hello.
So we
got assignment or in person?
Prof, please, class, one class. Prof, the question is, are we doing midterm or you are giving us an assignment?
No, midterm.
So midterm. And the midterm, are we going to write in person or is going to be done online?
No. Last semester, how did you go about it?
It was an assignment.
Last semester, we didn't write midterm.
Most of them were given to us as assignments.
Oh, midterm, I think midterm or mid-semester or simplify things for me.
Please consider it as an assignment for us.
So they normally in my teaching, I don't give assignments to postgraduate students because of experience. Well, I mean, you give an assignment, they'll go and copy. Some will just go and lift the stuff from Google, and sometimes you have copying one person copying another, so you don't know whether to give them zero. You don't know who copied from whom, and it becomes a thing. So normally the mid semester settles. I mean, it solves all kinds of problems that we may have.
So can it be online, say?
No, normally the mid semester, I don't think that they have the online blah blah those things. But why?
So we did some online last series or so.
Online.
Yes, but I haven't decided that yet. So please, you prepare for the mid semester. I mean, whether online or in person. I mean, the value is the same.
So we want to know because
so that
we want to know so that we plan because
no, I haven't decided that yet because I have not even finished teaching. So why do you want
to? The timetable, Mr.
Yes.
Pardon me.
Per the timetable, per the academic calendar, Mr. next week.
Yes, it's next week. So I have to prepare because I've just finished my I have to prepare the questions tomorrow, and so don't worry. So you prepare for the miss. If I have a change of mind, I will let you know.
Okay.
Please,
Prof,
may God let you have a change.
The slides you have taken us through last weekend, which area should we look out for the MSM?
Everything.
Please have mercy you.
May the Holy Spirit direct you.
Guys, it's okay.
We are.
Prof will go into the spirit and he will bring
it. Now that Agada is in prison, we don't know who to go to. So we'll pray to God.
So don't worry. I mean, don't worry. All those who have participated in the lectures, who have attended lectures and have paid attention to what we have discussed. I mean,
you can't work alone. You can't work alone.
No, I don't believe that examinations are supposed to punish students. No, I believe examinations are supposed to be a feedback system. Right?
Yes.
So it is what you have discussed that you are going to be examined on or you are going to be assessed on. So there's no cause for alarm. If you have taken the lessons seriously, there's no way that you won't pass. Right. Sister Hannah.
So I'm not going to sit again.
Sister Hannah. Your hand is up. Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say? Augustina, your hand is up.
Please, can you communicate to us earlier because I wanted to know I'm supposed to go somewhere on Saturday, so I want to know whether I will reschedule it or not. That's why I was asking if it was online or in person.
No, I mean it can be online, it can also be in person.
Because they've already taken the decision and it's beyond my control, so I want to know the exact one so that I will know what to do. That's why I was asking.
Okay, so I will let you know, but you can contact me maybe maybe Tuesday to find out whether I've made the decisions. I've sent the questions there. All right.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, please consider online. We beg. Please consider online. We beg.
Why are you so much interested in online?
Guys, let the man.
Because most of us will be traveling.
Look, let the
I'm not